Hello, welcome once again to Funguy The Entertainer cooking for you. Zusa wrote in saying that she would like to find out a recipe to cook chicken that doesn't dry it all out. Well, the best way to do that is brining your chicken. Now, a lot of people know about brining turkeys. A lot of people do that for Thanksgiving and stuff because it makes the turkey much moister, less dry. You could do the same with chicken. It does not have to be whole chicken. It could be pieces of chickens, but the process is the same. Now, I'm just going to give you the simple brine recipe. Obviously, you could add a lot of things to the brine. It's almost turned it into a marinade. But for this purpose, because I'd rather have the seasoning on the skin of my chicken, because I realize it's not as healthy, but to me, it's the best part. So we just use 3/4 of a cup of kosher salt, kind of a heavy 3/4 of a cup. You want a little bit more salt than you do sugar, and then of course the sugar is 3/4 of a cup. Then you need 4 cups of water. The process is very simple. You pour the water. Oh, you're also going to need a very large stock pot because you have to be able to fit everything in it. So first we're going to pour the 4 cups of water in, and we're going to turn the heat on. We want to bring this to a boil quickly. So we'll turn this on. We will add the salt. We will add the sugar. This is really not tough. It goes fairly quick because it's a big pot, and you can see down here there's a lot of room. Stir it quickly. Now the reason you have to bring this, well, it doesn't necessarily have to come to a complete boil. The trick is everything has to be 100% diluted is not the right word. This is really strange. I know what I'm doing. I'm forgetting the word. But the salt and the sugar has to no longer be in crystalline form. It has to be liquidated. It's going fairly quick, as you can see. The salt goes fast. The sugar takes a little longer. Now, most people prefer using the kosher salt for this because it's coarser, which means you get a stronger flavor, and when it does melt down, it's good. Obviously, Morton kosher salt is one of the biggest ones out there. You can use whatever your favorite brand is. If you don't have kosher salt available, go with sea salt. Sea salt is also stronger. Sugar, there's all different kinds of sugar. You got cane sugar, you have beet sugar. From what I understand, I do not know, see, I got donuts in my brain again. I do not know if you can use artificial sweeteners instead of sugar. Artificial sweeteners, for the most part, do not cook well. Although a couple of them promote that they do. I'm going to swirl this instead of stir it. There we go. As you can see in the middle there, it's still not dissolving. That's the word I was looking for before. It has to dissolve. But it is getting there. It's already starting to come to a boil. You don't want to stop until it's completely dissolved. As you can see, it's just about there. Now, once it's done dissolving and everything is all ready, you're going to turn the heat off, take it off the burner. We need to get the liquid cooled. You cannot put the chicken in there while it is, oops, I wonder why they got so dark. Cannot put the chicken in there while it is warm. If you do that, it will bring the chicken up to an unsafe temperature. So once you are done with this process, take it off of the stove. And if you have a refrigerator large enough, or if it's the right time of year, like in the winter time, you can put this out on your garage or whatever, and it'll cool down faster. Since it's not a lot, it shouldn't take too long. But you don't want the water warmer than 40 degrees. Colder is better. I know some people that actually take an ice chest, put the pot and surround it by ice. I have a deep freeze that I can utilize, which will do the same thing. All right, see that? Just about there. All right, and of course you don't need to see the finish of this. I explained this. I'll come back to you when it's time to add the chicken. There we go. Okay, and we're back. And I need to apologize for making a few small faux pas earlier. I'm used to cooking everything in large quantities, so I have a big stock pot. You obviously do not need one this big. This is, what I use. It's good for turkey. I'm also going to cook a lot more chicken than most people probably would, because again, I'm cooking for more than just a family of 4. Well, technically a family of 4, but I usually cook for 2 meals at a time. It just is simpler. We took the water out of the stock pot, put it in a smaller bowl. Stainless steel bowls are your friend, folks. Yes, they are. Put it in there, stuck in the refrigerator. This cooled down in about 25 minutes to 40 degrees, which is where it's going to go. Because what we're going to do is I now have 16 cups of ice cold water in this stock pot. So when I dump this in here, that's going to drop the temperature even more. There we go. And then of course, give it a good stir. We're not heating this anymore. You don't have to do this on the stove. You can do this on your counter. But the stove is where most of my light is here, so that's what we're going to use. Now, what I like to do is I start off with the bigger pieces of chicken and put them at the bottom. It's not that it's really all that important, but I do that simply because that means it's in there just a little longer. So we'll take the breasts and drop them in the bottom. Needless to say, they semi-float, which is okay. I don't have any thighs today, but I do have wings and drumsticks. So we'll put the drumsticks in next. Wings and drumsticks are my favorites. My wife likes the thigh, or the breasts. Now this chicken is also still partially froze, so that'll also help with getting the temperature down quickly. I also made another small boo-boo earlier. It's the salt that takes a little longer to dissolve. Sugar dissolves very quickly. I knew that. I don't have a clue why it came out the other way. When I was a confectioner making candy, you use sugar, and in literally no time the sugar dissolves. All right, now we do the wings. Probably should have grabbed one small package of thighs to make this rounded out better. But what are you going to do? Now the trick is make sure everything's separated, especially if they're still partially frozen like these are. I mean, they're mostly thawed. Otherwise they wouldn't even come apart. Okay. Then once they're in there, give them one more good stir, just to make sure everything's mixing. All right. Now at this point, you should put a lid on it and put it back in the refrigerator. Now, like I said, use a smaller pot for your home use. I mean, this is only filled up to here, so I did not need this big of a pot. I'm just used to it. This is what I cook with. So, and I have the facilities to put this in the refrigerator. So go with a smaller pot, half the size, and you'll be fine. Then put it in the refrigerator. You can keep it in the refrigerator for up to 72 hours. 6 hours is enough. to give it a good flavor. Overnight's better. But once you hit 72 hours, if you haven't cooked it, don't. Just get rid of it. You know, if you forget it and it's in there for 4 days, it's not going to be so good. All right? So this is how this works. When we're done and we're ready to prepare the chicken dinner, I will restart the video and we'll go from there. All right, welcome back. We're going to finish that chicken that we started earlier in the brine solution. First thing you need to do is you need to preheat the oven to 425 degrees. You need a cooking sheet. If you're doing a regular household chicken, you'd probably just use a 9x13, but I have a larger pan because I have more pieces of chicken. You're going to put a full stick of butter in the pan. And then stick the pan directly in the oven while it's preheating. And that will get the butter melted. The rest of the ingredients you're going to need, besides the chicken, is your own personal, you gotta do this, your own personal choice of spices. I use garlic, salt, pepper, and onion powder. And of course you're gonna need a cup of flour. If you're doing a smaller batch, you can get away with 3/4 cup of flour, and you can shrink down a little bit on the amount of spices you use. In our case today, I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic. That's how I do this. So we're going to make it easy. Get a 1 gallon plastic bag. Pour the flour into the bag. This is one of those times where I actually do use a little bit of measuring. Again, you don't have to once you're really normal at this. But I'm going to take the salt, and I'm going to put 2 teaspoons. That's a tablespoon. Let's get to the teaspoon one. There we go. 2 teaspoons of salt right into the bag. 1, 2. Okay. Then I want 1/2 teaspoon of the pepper. I'm going to take the lid off so I can get in there with the scooper. There we go. 1. Going to do the same with the onion powder. This time, instead of dipping it in there, since there's a little bit of pepper stuck, I don't want that actually in with the powder. So there we go there. And then we're going to go to 1/4 teaspoon on the garlic. This time I can go in there because it's a fresh one. All right. Put the lids back on everything so I don't accidentally spill or get too much moisture in here. Make sure I get the right lid. Yep, that's the right lid. Okay. Zip the bag. And shake it around to get it all good up, mixed up. That wasn't sealed very good. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, let's check on our butter. Not quite melted yet. I'm still working on aiming the camera better. Let's see if I can do this right. You can look in there. There you go. See, it's not quite ready yet. Everything else is ready. Let's move everything out of the way, seeing that we're done with it. I'll eat up a little bit of time. You notice I have the chicken here ready to go. Again, remember, you don't need this big of a pot. This is what I use. I ended up only needing this much for the amount of chicken I have. For you, standard 8-quart pot is probably sufficient. And then cut down on your ingredients. Instead of 16 cups of water, bring it down to 8 cups of water. And same with the original batch with 4 cups of water. Start off with 2 cups of water. Cut all the ingredients in half for a home-sized batch. Okay, I'm going to pull the pan out because it's got to be really close by now. If if we move it around the pan, the hot pan should finish melting this pretty easy. You definitely want it to be covered completely, because otherwise the chicken's going to stick. A little bit of it will stick anyway, but the trick is to get as little as possible sticking. So, okay, that looks pretty good. We'll leave this over on this side because it'll make its way down. Okay, now let's bring the chicken over here so it's closer to the pan. Very easy. Just open up the bag. Oop, forgot to roll up my sleeve here. Needless to say, you can put more than one piece in there, shake it, because otherwise you're going to have a pile of mush. I'm going to throw 4 legs in here to start. Close the bag, shake it around. Now, of course, if you don't want to make this from scratch, there are things you could purchase. I like using Miracle Bake powder sometimes because it has a really nice flavor. I do that mostly with pork chops. When I'm doing chicken, I like to do my chicken so that it's more crispy. And by doing the flour, you see how, you know, a lot of flour on them. That's what I like. You can hear the beeper just went off, which means the oven is now up to temperature, which is perfect. Once we get all this in here, we're going to put the chicken in the oven and set the timer for 25 minutes. After 25 minutes of cooking, we're going to pull the pan out and turn the chicken so that it gets more even browning from the pan. Now, from the looks of this, I had more chicken than I thought I did, so I might have to make another batch of flour, although we are getting closer. I just want to make sure I get all the legs first. All right, looks like I did. So, oh, there was one more in here. We might be okay. Since there's only 2 in there, we didn't have to shake it quite as much. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to grab the breasts because they're big and they're going to eat up a lot of the flour. And since they are big, we're only going to put 2 of them in the bag at once. Okay, yep, it ate it up. Put the breast skin side down. Okay, we're going to pause and come back because I'm going to have to make more flour. Okay, in order to save a little bit of time instead of just watching me pour stuff in, this is the finished product. This is how the pan looks once you fill it up. All the chicken is layered nice face down. Then you literally just put it in the oven. Try for the middle of the oven. It will give it a more uniform baking. All right, and then we'll come back when we're time to turn it over. 25 minutes, set the timer, then come back and turn it over. Okay, the timer's just gone off. What I like to do to give it a nice crispy layer is I set the broiler on high for 3 minutes. That's it. It just gives me a nice brown layer to the top of my chicken, which is what I really like. So, and it also keeps it from drying out, because in order to get it browner, you'd have to cook it for another 10 minutes, and another 10 minutes is going to dry it out. And Zusa did not want dry chicken, which is why I'm cooking it this way. My potatoes are ready to go. I'm leaving them in the hot water. I just started the corn on really, really low, so that'll heat up while we're doing this. This has been going for about 2 minutes, so we're just about done. I'm going to take a peek inside. Oh, it looks perfect. We're going to turn that off. Again, going back to the 2 gloves because everything is really hot. Okay, you guys ready to see what this looks like? Oh, there we go. Presto changeo, we have oven baked chicken that looks just absolutely dynamite. It's definitely cooked because we saw that the chicken breast had split already, and you can tell by looking at it, it's juicy. That brining makes everything stay juicy. That's the whole purpose of the brining. Do the brining, keeps your chicken juicy. Chicken, turkey, poultry. Alrighty? Once again, this is Funguy The Entertainer cooking for you. Please like, subscribe, send this to your friends. We want to build this up. If you have anything you'd like for me to try to cook for you, leave a comment on any of my videos. I check them frequently, and as a matter of fact, you get notices, so that makes it really simple. So enjoy your evening, enjoy your food, and once again, this is Funguy The Entertainer cooking for you.